Welcome to the Creative Community Podcast, presented by Destination Arte. I'm David.
And I'm Mark, and we're building a community of creatives who work together to achieve creative excellence. And today's guest is emerging fine artist, Mattie Ree Neal.
Mattie is an amazing fine artist and oil painter. She was recently named among Southwest Art's 21 under 31 for emerging fine artists. And she is an absolute delight and joy to talk to. She's such a sweet spirit. She's so humble. Really do not believe what she says in this interview about her skills. She was named as 21 under 31. She deserves every bit of recognition for what she gets there.
Yeah, and Mattie joins us today to talk about her latest adventure in portrait painting with a family member, which is super fun. I know if you're an artist, a lot of us have been there. And so she shares some insights into that and some really fun stories. And she also talks about, like, even after kind of getting this honor of 21 under 31, what she's doing to take up her skills and level up even farther, kind of her routines and what she's trying to work on as far as the fundamentals. And then she also talks to us just about some fun questions like her dream painting destinations and some trips that she's gotten to go on. And that is a really, really delightful part of the conversation too. So without further ado, let's get into our interview with fine artist Mattie Ree Neal.
So my name is Mattie Ree, and I'm studying art at the moment, and I've always wanted to be an artist, so I'm excited to really get to dive into it now. I'm 19, so I've been out of school for about a year now and studying with my dad and traveling and studying with artists through workshops and all of those good things. But yes, behind me is a painting I'm working on right now of my grandmother. And it's been I've learned so much through this process. It's a little different than some of the other things I've done. I got to take a lot of time just to do sketches and studies and kind of explore what I wanted to do. And I got to work with my grandma on it a lot and get her input and kind of see what she wanted me to do. And it's been really fun. I've been working on it since probably like January of this year. So I've been able to take it slow and kind of play around with it. But that's what's on the easel right now.
That is so cool. This is just a question. Is it your dad or your mom's side? Which grandma?
My dad's side.
Okay. That's awesome. But we wanted to ask you, like, which painting have you learned the most from in your career so far? And it might be this one, it might be a different one. And then what did you learn from that painting?
That is such a good question. And it's a hard question because I sort of feel like whichever one I'm working on right now is the one I'm learning the most from. But I hope I learned something from every painting. I think even those paintings that are really hard and don't go very well, I learned like maybe the most from those. But then they get put in the closet and I never have to look at them again. But I know those are important. But this one that I'm working on right now, I've really learned a lot from that one. Just kind of trying to take my time and give myself some space every now and then to go work on something else and come back to it. And painting a family member, it makes it sort of nice because I can do that. And I don't know, have more freedom with it, which I think is good. And I need to do as much of that as I can, like right now, before I get into more like commission work. But I don't know, I think I would say that one. I learned a lot from painting all my family members. And I don't know, I've been trying to decide if it's easier to paint someone you know really, really well, or if it's harder.
That's a great question.
I've been talking about it with some artist friends the last couple weeks, and I don't know, because you know them so well that you have their character down and you kind of know them really well. And it's important to know someone well if you're going to paint their portrait, but you're also really sensitive to if it doesn't look like them. So I don't know. I'm still figuring that one out.
Can you speak to that, Mark? You've painted people that you know.
Yeah, I think that in my personal experience, like, I really enjoy painting my dad. because I was describing him to someone, and I was like, you don't understand. Like, he just has the perfect face. Like, he's got these deep like eyeshadows, and he's got this great nose, and he's got this beard. It's so cool. And they were like, yeah, Mark, that's just what everyone finds interest. He's an interesting person to look at, you know. And I was like, well, okay, fine. Like, I was a little offended. Like, I was like, but I think he's cool. You don't understand, but I think he's cool. And so I think that family members, like Mattie said, you're around them a lot, and you really do know them. Yeah, boy, that's a tough question. But I do think that in this instance, Mattie is definitely the expert. She has more experience than me. So.
Oh, I don't know. I'm running out of family members. Gotta find more people to paint who will like volunteer and let me like be my victim.
Yes, right.
Did your grandma sit for you at all, or is this all from photo?
It's all been from photos so far. We did the photo shoot back in January.
Okay.
And it was so much fun because back in like, I don't know, the 60s and 70s, she used to be a model at department stores. And they would like put the clothes on people and they would walk around and model the clothes instead of on mannequins. And that was just something she did for fun. So when we were talking about her portrait that I wanted to do, we were like trying to come up with sort of an idea. And she has a mink coat, and it's her favorite thing ever. And so we thought that I would paint her in her mink coat. So I went over to their house and I got everything set up with the light and the cameras. And she came out in her mink coat and she was loving it. I probably took like 500 pictures, and she was twirling around in the coat and walking back and forth. And I was looking at what I had and I said, Nana, this is fantastic. I've got 10 paintings here. And she said, all right, I'll be right back. And I said, you'll be right back. And she came back in a new outfit. So we got some more photos after that. I've been working all from photos so far. I've kind of got it on pause right now because I need to see the coat in person. And I'm trying to see if I can borrow the coat for a few days.
Oh, that's nerve-wracking.
She's not excited about sending her mink coat into the artist studio. So
all the paint. Oh no.
I know. We'll see if I ever get there. It might be finished. I don't know.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a great story. Oh, I love that so much. And it's so cool to have that memory. I think you'll look back in years to come, 10 years, 20 years, you'll be like, wow, that was such a wonderful time, because you got to find out something about her in the process and then revitalize part of her personality that maybe hadn't come out in a while, or wasn't active. She was like, oh, I'll try on more clothes, so that's really cool.
Yes, it's been great.
Well, congratulations. We heard you were on 21 Under 31 in Southwest Art Magazine. That is amazing, and we wanted to congratulate you on that. We think that's incredible. It's obviously well-deserved. If anyone looks at your work, it's not just we'll just, throw this person on there because we need 31. No, you deserve to be there, I think. And we wanted to know, what does that mean to you? What does making it on that list mean to you? And then do you have any more goals? Do you have a next goal, or are you still kind of just basking in the moment?
Oh, thank you so much. It's been really exciting. I've loved following the 21 Under 31 artists for a long time, since I was really small. It's a magazine that we've always had around, and it's always been really inspiring to get to see the young artists and watch them as they've grown and they have these amazing careers. And I can't believe that it's amazing. I don't know. It's very exciting and quite an honor, but next thing, I had to paint better. I want to paint better. I guess something else that I have always kind of had as a big goal since I was small, was to be a finalist in the Portrait Society. I wouldn't call that my next thing, but that's a thing out there, maybe. But I got to go to the first my first Portrait Society conference when I was 8. So it's always been a very inspiring thing that I've loved. Yeah, just painting better tomorrow than I did yesterday and today. Hopefully better than I did today, tomorrow.
That's very admirable.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I was a follow-up to that is, and I don't know if you can kind of pinpoint something specifically that you're maybe attacking right now, but you kind of say, I want to paint better tomorrow than I did today. What's kind of on your mental list of like, okay, this is an area where I see that I want to get better. Is there anything that you're attacking specifically right now? Like, and what I mean is like a fundamental, like drawing
Yeah.
or value arrangement or something like that.
Mhm. Oh goodness. Always drawing. I always drawing. That's like number one. Always trying to do better. And sometimes I can really get into painting and trying to fix my drawing within painting, and then kind of don't draw enough outside of painting. So that's kind of something that I've been thinking about the last couple weeks, just drawing more and sketching more. Like I've always loved to do that, but I think I can get a little distracted with the painting. So always drawing, value, always value too. I've done a lot of like tonal studies recently, and I've kind of been playing around with gouache and doing little like value studies in gouache. Sometimes like to get ready for other paintings, but lots of those. That's sort of the big two things for me. I've been playing with the Zorn palette for like a year. And I think I've learned so much from it. I didn't expect simplifying my actual color palette to make seeing color so much easier. But it's been really good. I have just added alizarin back. So we have Zorn palette plus alizarin, and we'll see who's next to come back onto the palette.
Yeah.
But it's been really helpful for me just to kind of bring it down, because I've always painted with like the sort of basic Sargent palette colors, like warm and cool of each primary. And that's sort of what I learned to paint with. And that's just helped me a lot to kind of take it down to a primary palette and kind of work up from there. So that's a big thing I've been playing with a little bit, color wise.
Yeah,
but
that's so cool. Yeah,
That is
that's
a lot.
awesome. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Well, but like a lot of the things that you're saying, like if you go back on your Instagram, you can kind of see like the trails, you know, that you're saying, like you're learning gouache, you're learning tonal arrangement, you're learning like drawing, like all those things are evident throughout, you know, what you're posting and things like that. And so that's so cool. I love how like switching to that primary palette really, like you said, it's teaching you how to see color, which a lot of people might not think, because they're like, no, if I could just get that color, then I could match what I'm seeing. But I love that. Thank you for pointing that out, because I think it's a great point.
Yeah, it's like it's either more yellow, more red, or more blue.
Yep.
And then go from there.
Yeah.
And it's simpler, and it makes seeing it simpler, which was, I don't know, maybe it shouldn't have been surprising to me, but it was. So it's been fun. I've enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, and for those of you that may not know, the Zorn palette is yellow ochre, like a red, cad red sometimes, and then black and white. And your black serves as your blue, right? And so that's kind of a thing that kind of throws people, I think, when they hear it. They're like, "How's your black? Your blue?" But
there's no real blue.
It does. When you have those warms next to it, it looks really blue.
Yes, and that's the other thing. I think it's taught me a lot about like colors and context and how they relate to each other. So it's been a good experience. I'm kind of reluctant to bring the real palette back, but I'm gonna do it. I'll learn from doing that too.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. I've only ever seen one Zorn, but it's very atmospheric.
Yes.
And I don't know how else to say it, because I saw two Sargents And then like I walked around this corner, and in the dark, there's the Zorn. And it's like the first one he ever painted that had electric light in it or something. It's a very interesting, like it's one of the very first paintings that ever depicted the electric light bulb. It's not the first, but it's one of them. And it's very atmospheric. He just managed to capture, there's this ballroom scene in the background and there's this intimate scene in the foreground. And you're just kind of like, you just kind of want to stand there for 2 hours and just be like, I would like to be there, because he just has this atmosphere that he has pulled out, and must be something with his, the way he uses the colors in relation to one another that tells you, because it didn't look like it looked like he had all the colors he wanted when he painted it, and not just whatever he had on his palette.
So beautiful. Okay, well, moving on from our just drooling over Anders Zorn, which we could continue on. I feel like every once in a while on this pod we get like, I think us and Michael Malm got into like a Fetchin rant where we just like went for a little bit and we were just talking about Nikolai Fetchin. So Zorn was our man of the hour, but we wanted to ask you. So you kind of you appear to travel a lot and do those sort of things. So we wanted to ask you, where's the coolest place that you've had the chance to paint? And where is your dream destination that you would want to paint for like a month?
Oh my goodness. This is a very hard question, because I feel like I could have a lot of answers to this question. But I think that the coolest place that I've gotten the opportunity to paint is probably in Italy. We went to Italy maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So I hadn't been painting for that long, and I was still really young, and my paintings are horrible and no one should ever look at them. But it was heaven. It was wonderful. We got to stay in the countryside at a villa and paint for days. And it was like a fairy tale. I don't think I knew that anything was quite that beautiful, but it was incredible. So my paintings don't give it just like, no justice is there, but it was an amazing experience. So I would like to go back there sometime when I learn more and try again. But another place that my most recent painting trip was to an island in Maine, and it was the second time I had been there, and it was really a very special trip. We go to this island and stay with some friends in a house that's like 100 years old, and it's this tiny island that has 100 houses on it, and you can walk around the whole island before breakfast, and there are no cars and no wheels. You can have a wagon to pull things, but that's it. And it's a very special place. And my dad and I got to go paint for like 3 or 4 days this year, but it was a perfect 3 days. It couldn't have been better. Their sailboats sail around the island all the time, and they have wild blueberries, and the moon is bigger there. I promise you, it's bigger. And it's heaven just on an island.
I see.
And I loved painting there this summer and a couple summers ago. I think I had learned more from my like first big painting trip to Italy. So that was a little bit helpful, that I kind of knew what was going on a little bit more, but it's beautiful. And when I'm there, I feel like I could stay there for forever. So if I were to go somewhere like soon, I want to go back there. I've kind of just gotten home and I'm looking at the photos and I'm wanting to do more paintings for my sketches, and I'm kind of disappointed in the photos. So I think I need to go back as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's that's great.
I love that. Well, we wanted to know because maybe people have picked up on this during the conversation, but you've had the chance to rub elbows with some amazing painters, and you've seen where they've painted, and you've been to Portrait Society since you were 8, So this is not a question we prepared you for, and feel free to decline answering it. But have you ever like had this feeling like, if I don't become a painter, I'm going to let down everyone that's ever like known me in my whole life?
I really haven't.
Oh, that's
actually.
good.
And I think it's probably just because everyone that I've known are so wonderful. But I've wanted to be a painter for my whole life. And it's kind of funny because I really wanted to be a painter before I knew if I could paint or not. I
Oh,
think if I couldn't paint, I would still really, not that I can, but it's something I've always wanted to do. And I'm really lucky to have kind of grown up in the art world and been able to watch my dad work every day in the studio. And he's incredible because he let me at 4 years old crawl around his easel and let me be out there because it was my favorite place. And I was painting today on one of his easels back there, and I graffitied it, all of it, when between like the ages of 5 and 8.
oh,
Written all over it.
Mm.
But he's such a wonderful dad because he didn't kick me out at any time. And then getting to watch him paint every day, and his teacher, Everett Raymond Kinsler, I don't know. That's what I've always wanted to do. And but it's never been, I don't think my dad has ever like told me that that's what he wanted me to do. And he never pressured me into it at all. I think he was afraid of doing that.
mm,
So when I was little, I would like come and ask for an art lesson or an assignment. And I would ask him to give me some homework, like some like real art homework. And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't. But now he critiques my paintings when I ask him to, and tells me anything, answers all my questions, which come just always questions, which is wonderful. But he's very kind.
that's great.
But no, I don't think I have ever felt like I was going to disappoint anybody if I didn't do it or didn't do well. I feel like I need to deserve all of the information that people give me.
Oh,
So I think that just means that I need to work hard. But if my paintings aren't good, at least I worked hard. I tried really hard. But no, everybody is just so gracious and so giving of everything that they know and always want to help. And it's wonderful. We're lucky as artists because it's just everyone wants to help everybody, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, I know. I remember, I forget which artist it was, but he was like, I think that when artists get together, there's a different atmosphere because we all know when we see someone who's good, we know how hard it is because we've all tried. We all try all the time to be good, and we all think we aren't good, But he's like, when we see someone who's good, first of all, there's just so much respect there for them because we know how hard it is. And then for the people who have actually gotten good, who've done enough work to get good, they know how hard it is. And when they see someone trying, like you said, when they see someone working really hard, they go, "Oh boy, I know what that's like. Let me help you. Let me pull you up because you get knocked down a lot." So it's so
Yeah.
good.
Oh, I love it. Mr. Kinsler sort of reminds me, he used to talk about like art critics who were writers who would critique artists. And he used to say that he respected an artist who could critique an artist. But if you were a writer critiquing an artist, you need to try to paint at some point.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't know, writers critiquing writers. Maybe that's a little different. I don't know.
Yeah, that's so
But,
funny.
yeah.
Maybe we should start critique writing. We should
I think
start. We should become.
I like that idea.
Just give them a taste of their own medicine.
paint a painting that represents what you thought of their writing.
Right.
Instead of them writing what they think
Perfect.
represented their writing.
There we go.
That would be quite an interesting concept. But
Oh, that's funny.
well, everyone who's listening, for someone who was just named to the 31 under or 21 under 31, Mattie's being very modest. So you can go follow her on Instagram, which we will let you say in just a minute. Johnny is one of our listeners, and he actually asked the question that Mark asked, which is, what is the next area of painting that you're going to focus on learning next? Which I think you said working on drawing and value studies, but I didn't know if do you just kind of have a plan every day? Like, this is my drawing time, or are you just like, I have my drawing pad, and when I find a spare minute, I draw? Like, do you have to set aside time for yourself to get it done? Or are you like, this is my job, I'm going to do this no matter what?
It's probably more the second. So I'm sort of my dad's intern kind of this year, since I'm here all the time. So every day I'm kind of balancing working in his office and doing some things for him. Like, I'm in charge of his Patreon page. So sometimes I'm filming and editing and uploading things for that and doing other officey things, which I learn a lot from, because I think it's one of the really neat parts about getting to study with a working artist, because I get to learn about the business side of it along with the technique and everything like that. So that's a part of every day. Sometimes it's more of my day than I would like it to be, but it's okay, because I learn from that too. Then the rest of my day is sort of just whatever I want to work on that day. I have a notebook where, if I'm working on a painting like of my grandmother, like a bigger project, I will write down some stuff in there that I feel like I need to accomplish next. Or I'll take notes if my dad's talking to me about something I'm working on. And that can kind of be a good place for me to start if I don't know where to start. Other than that, it's sort of, if I feel like painting, then I'll go paint. Or if that's not going well, then I might go draw or look at art books. Or
Art books. Do you have, Ariana is another listener that asked for your favorite art books. So maybe give us like your 3 that you're like your go-to.
Okay. So I think art books, when it comes to words, the Art Spirit is up there. I love it. It's the best. It's amazing. Another one, I love all of Ray Kinsler's books. I can't get enough of them. When I was little, I used to wonder how my dad could look at the same book so often. And I'd come in and he'd be sitting over there, like, going through the book again, the Kinsler book. And it's only like more recently that I realized that I was doing the same thing. And it's amazing, because you look at it and then you go learn something, and then you come back and look at it again, and there are things that you didn't see before. Or sometimes I'll be like working on my grandmother's fur coat, and I'm looking for something to help me with the fur coat, and I go to that book again, and this time I'm looking for something to help me with that, and it's completely different than all the other times, which is sort of like reading the Bible, and you read it again, and where was that before? I didn't notice that before. So all the Kinsler books, all of them, and the Art Spirit. And I love, for landscape painting, I love John Carlson's book. Really good. Edgar Payne's book is really good. That one took me a lot longer to read.
That one's so big.
Yeah,
well, there's so much.
There's a lot. It's a lot of information. But that's 3. But I also love like Andrew Loomis and Bridgman, everything when it comes to like anatomy and planes and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's probably the big ones that I go to study a lot. We have like the Sargent books and the Zorn books, and those never live on the shelves. They're always stacked up somewhere because I go to them so much. But I don't read them. I look at the pictures. But I'm reading Charteris right now. I've never known how to pronounce it, but it's a sergeant biography, and it was published right after he died, I think. But they started to write it while he was still alive. So that's been very, very interesting. And I'm learning a lot from that. So I would recommend that for sure.
That's super cool. Yeah, I didn't know that that book was a thing. So I'll have to look that
Yes.
up.
I think it's just John Singer Sargent by Charteris.
Okay.
Or maybe Charteris or something. I don't know.
Something
But,
fancy.
Yeah.
we can make it French, but it's very good.
Okay. Well, Mattie, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been awesome. Where can people follow you just to connect with you, connect with your art, and see for the next milestone that you make? Where can we learn about that?
I probably am on Instagram the most, and that's just Mattie Ree, just my name. And then I also have a website, and that's mattiereeneal.com. And I update that probably like not quite as much as Instagram, but a lot. So those two places for sure.
Once again, we are super grateful to Mattie for joining us for today's episode. You can follow her at MattiEree on Instagram, Mattie Ree on Instagram, to stay up to date with her latest projects, or you can go to mattiereeneal.com, and that is her fine art website.
As always, subscribe to us after you follow Mattie on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and even on SoundCloud for more episodes like this one, more conversations, more interviews. And leave us a comment or review with your favorite part of the show. That helps the algorithm know what you enjoyed and that you enjoyed it, and to recommend more to you like that. We had almost 100 listens, Mark, in 4 days on our most recent episode, and lots of people sending me feedback, sending me direct messages. So to those of you who've reached out about that conversation we had with Emma, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It helps us know that what we're doing is reaching you, and it's really, really encouraging. I'm glad to have those conversations. So speaking of that, if you want to share this conversation with Mattie with a friend who might benefit from what she has to say, maybe you know a young fine artist that would be encouraged by just hearing about her routine or her experiences, definitely do that. We would really appreciate it.
Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram, Destination Arete, ARETE, for information about future interviews like this one, as well as upcoming community activities that we may be doing and Arete projects that may or may not be going on in the background. So if you want to be the first, though, to hear about those upcoming interviews, the sneak peeks, the future content, all that stuff, go to destinationarete.com/contact, or send an email to destinationarete@gmail.com, and you can subscribe to our newsletter. And the newsletter is where all the juicy stuff is happening. David does a great job putting that together for us. But we will be back in 2 weeks with another interview. So we will see you then.